Okay, good evening, everyone. Apologies for the slightly delayed start time to the stream. We thought we were live, but turns out we were not. We are live now, I believe. Yes, we are. I can see the stream on my mobile phone. So yes, good evening, everyone. We've just wasted about 3 minutes talking to nobody, so that's always a great start. But welcome to the Jeddah Street Circuit. Welcome to MRC for the Xtreme tier, round 12 of season 16. And it's a very tight championship battle between Chris Bailey, who's on screen at the moment, setting a lap time on the medium tyres, and Armar Red as well, who is just on an out lap in his Alpine. But yeah, I'm Nev, and I'll reintroduce my co-commentator, Stefan. So yeah, once again, hi, Stefan. Good evening to
Yeah,
you.
hi. Good evening once again. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was quite funny. We were just talking into the void. Yeah, we thought we had thousands of listeners, but we were just for ourselves.
Yeah,
But yeah, I would say it once again. Great to be back on comms with you. It's been some time, and yeah, looking forward to the race here. It's always an exciting track with lots of battles for the lead.
yeah, absolutely. And I was saying before about the high-speed nature of this track, which of course we saw in Formula One in the real world just last weekend. I think it was just last weekend. I can't. I've lost all track of time. But anyway, it was the most recent race, obviously won by Oscar Piastri in the Papaya McLaren. But yeah, overtaking should be quite possible around here. Plenty of DRS zones, plenty of high speed, and yeah, fingers crossed that we get a good race tonight.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get this. I mean, high speed track, lots of straights or DRS zones.
And I mentioned before Armar Red, who's yeah right in the championship hunt with Chris Bailey, and he is just coming around to complete his first flying lap of this qualifying session. It's an 18-minute session that we've had about 6.5 minutes of so far. And Armour Red puts himself onto the front row for the time being with a 28.6, 4 thousandths quicker than Bobo. So already very, very close times coming in amongst some of the guys near the front of the grid. Just seeing who else we might have on the lap or about to start a flying lap. Saviour is in sector 2, I think that is, so we might go and watch the Ferrari of a Mr. Hornet, who is actually he's even further away from the start line. I don't know why I thought he was nearly there. So we'll go back to Saviour, who's just weaving a little bit. Red car has retired whilst on track, and I don't know if he's. Oh, we've had some issues by the looks of things.
Oh, yeah, doesn't look ideal.
Few drivers leaving, so I am just going to have a look on the Discord and see what is going on.
Yeah, red flag.
Red flag. Oh, assists were all left on. There we go. Chris,
Red
do you have
red
info?
flag. Yep, Simon has left every single assist on, and obviously this is no assists, so thus means we need to red flag and make sure the assists are correct for a restart. So full restart for qualifying.
Okay.
You're so lucky.
Oh no, I left the session before my car crashed. That was deliberate. Anywho, adios.
Okay. Cheers, Chris.
Adios.
So, as luck would have it, we haven't actually missed anything, despite thinking that we had. Yeah, I might just leave the stream running whilst we're waiting for the lobby to get set up. Once again, hopefully it doesn't take too long. It's not like I've had a few instances where you have to red flag after quali but before the race, and that is when it becomes a pain because you have to set up the grid manually in the lobby. But we don't have to do that here. We can just, as long as Simon turns off all of the assists this time, we should be pretty much good to go once again very shortly. So the only problem actually is that there's a few drivers who don't seem to have seen yet that the session has been red flagged, but maybe if we leave that will serve as a further reminder that we'll be restarting everything. So actually, Stefan, while we're waiting, what are the sort of defining features for you on this track in terms of car setup?
Well, I think you have to find some kind of balance because sector 2 and 3 are high speed. You know, you have long straights, or not really straights, but at least flat out parts of the track, DRS zones, and not many hard braking points. But sector 1 is very technical. You need the downforce there. You need to have trust in the car, and it needs to be stable in the corners as well. And it's not insignificant because if you want to try, I know it's very difficult, but if you want to try and break the DRS, you got to do it in sector 1. You need to be able to pull away there, because after all, in the long run, the DRS is so powerful that if you cannot get away from people, they're gonna be able to attack you at least. So I think it's important to have a mixture between straight line speed, which is obviously very important here, but also setting the car up in a way that you feel comfortable going into the sector 1, where you have to be very close to the walls.
Yeah, definitely. It's about pushing the track limits to the absolute limit to maximize around there without obviously making contact, which I've been on the receiving end on in the past. I think way back now, I'm talking one of the seasons on F1 22, I was leading a tier 1 race around here and turned in slightly too early for turn 3, the left-hander, and broke my front wing on the wall there. So yeah, and obviously that's about the point where Lando Norris had his crash in Formula One qualifying at the race just gone. Another thing, of course, around here, Stefan, is that there's quite a lot of DRS games that we see in the real life races around here. Obviously, thinking back to the battle that Max and Lewis had back in 2021, and we saw it a few times in this year's race as well, particularly with Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton on the final sector.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's not uncommon to see these tactical DRS games on this track. The esports drivers are doing it all the time. But on this track, it actually happens in real life as well. You know, Lewis defended off Lando like that, even though Lando was clearly much faster. But yeah, just by dropping behind him before the last corner, he was able to, yeah, fight back and re-overtake him on the start-finish straight. So, yeah, it's not ideal to go ahead into the final corner. Actually, like, I remember on this game many photo finishes as well. Like, because if you're really behind him, if you're directly behind a car, usually about the start finish line, you're gonna be side by side if you're really close. So you often see this. I think Duhan and Bortoleto had the same thing in real life. They had a photo finish between them. It was a bit unnoticed, but Duhan got him on the line. So it's it's really excitement until the very last corner, and even further than that.
Yeah, and I think 2021 again, it was Bottas in the Mercedes just pipping Esteban Ocon to a podium with that tactic as well, getting the DRS down on the run down to the finish line. So yeah, there should be plenty of interesting features about this track that make the racing a little bit more tactical, shall we say. So looks like we are ready once again to get back into qualifying. Hopefully this time the lobby's all set up correctly and we can carry on without any further interruptions. So we'll just load in and it'll be maybe another 30 seconds before we're back to the start of qualifying. Just a reminder, it's an 18-minute qualifying session and then a 50% race of the full race distance, which will be 25 laps around this circuit. And we were seeing in the previous session before it was red flagged some of the fast times in the sort of 128 region, possibly the chance for a 127 to be setting pole around here with the track condition getting rubbered in and everything. So yeah, we'll see what happens as we get going once again. So we'll just see who the first driver is now to go out onto the track this time. Everyone should have a good idea of what the setup is after the first time around. And I think I can hear a Ferrari coming down the pit lane, which might be the session host, in fact, Baby Hornet. So we've got Hornet and Bobo, first two drivers out there. Let's get some data up on the screen. And Chris, predictably, as he so often does, is going out there on a set of mediums to kick things off. So he might be a little bit slower in his first run, but he will surely be right in the hunt for pole position as we move forward in the session. Ferrari actually a team that haven't won at this track, I don't believe. It was Mercedes in 2021, and then it's been a track that Max Verstappen has pretty much dominated in the Red Bull, at least until this year's iteration when, as I mentioned earlier, it was Oscar Piastri in the McLaren, taking McLaren's first win at this track. But Chris is about to start a lap on the medium, so let's just ride on board with him for a lap of this Jeddah street circuit. So braking around the 100-meter board for turns 1 and 2 and taking quite a bit of curb through that section. Now round to the left before braking down for turn 3 right around the 50-meter board, and you really just have to throw the car in there before this right left series of corners. Very high speed through here, very crucial to be pinpoint accurate with your turn in so that you get as much speed as possible carried through those corners. And now we're up at the top end of the circuit with a 180 degree left-hander that's banked, so you can carry a bit more speed through there than you might think. But you could just see this, it's such a feature of this track, the really fast chicanes and really long corners like in this section here. Full throttle throughout, but so many left and right increments. Chris going wide, but his lap hasn't been invalidated, so he might have just lifted slightly there to keep his lap valid. And now down to the final corner, braking just after the 100-meter board. Maybe could have hit the apex a little better, but decent enough exit, and he will be the first time set in this session. It's a 29.0, but we'll expect to see some faster times than that, and Doris immediately goes a tenth quicker, and then his teammate improves by about half a second to 28.4. And then Saviour lays down a marker.
Yeah, low 28 is definitely a decent banker lap.
Who else have we got? We've got Bobo in the Williams in second sector, another one of the quickest drivers in Tier 1, who is generally up at the sharp end of the Xtreme tier races as well, and he's had a few interesting battles with Chris Bailey actually. They always seem to be pretty close together on the track. But he's just coming up to the line, so let's see what he can do. Just behind Saviour by about half a tenth onto the front row for now. And now we got Ant up to the line, P5 for him at the moment, behind Armar, who is in P4 currently. Bit of a smaller grid tonight as well, only 14 drivers in the lobby tonight, which is a little bit of a shame, possibly to be expected now that we're not too far away from the launch of F1 25. And with it, obviously, fresh optimism for everyone.
Straight on there.
Yeah, I think he's just straight lining the track as much as he can to get back to the pits. He was doing that.
He already. Yeah, okay. He said already. Yeah.
Yeah, Stefan, are you looking forward to F1 25?
Honestly, no. Because the thing is, I am still on the PS4, and
yeah.
so I would have to buy a PS5. So I'm thinking about what to do now, because honestly, I am not playing that much. I'm not doing that much of gaming, no matter F1 or any other games at the moment, and I have lots of other stuff to do, so buying a PS5, which would be necessary, is not my first priority at the moment. But on the other hand, of course, I love being in MRC, I love racing, commentating here, and I want to continue with that, so I'm not sure when I'm gonna buy the PS5 in the game. I mean, no matter what, I'm definitely gonna wait for the first serious reviews of the new game waiting for them to come in, and then because honestly, this game was not for me. I think it was, yeah, it was pretty much effortless and no really anything new or anything elevated from F123. So yeah, if it wasn't for MRC, I'm honest, guys, I wouldn't have bought it. So I mean, I'm still. I still have a feeling that EA was sitting this one out a little bit. Like F124 was more of a placeholder for F125, so I'm hoping for some nice new features. And then let's see what will happen. But what do you think about the game?
Yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword in a way because I'm kind of with you on this current game F124. It doesn't really suit me very well. Like I don't really enjoy the handling on this game, and it's really affected my enjoyment of the game compared to previous years and my enjoyment of racing online, which is why I've sort of taken a bit of a step back from it. I think I'm in the same boat in terms of waiting on reviews to see how the game is looking, especially on factors of handling and the effectiveness of like DRS, which I think they kind of got the balance wrong this year.
Yeah.
They made it too easy to save and recharge and just go again. But with every F1 game, I'm always hopeful that they do things a bit better, and work on these issues. And obviously, it's a shame that they are stepping away from the previous generation because there's obviously a significant number of people like yourself who are still using those consoles, and it sort of reduces the gamer base from that perspective. But if it does mean that they can step up the capabilities of the game because they aren't sort of hamstrung by having to make it adaptable for the old consoles, then hopefully that's a good thing, and it's something that EA and Codemasters can capitalize on with the games going forward. But that is a big if.
The big one, yes. I'm hoping for that as well. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I think the thing is also my PS4 is still running perfectly after, I don't know, 11 or 12 years. It's not even loud or anything. It's so, yeah, I know, but I know, of course, that it's in the long run they're gonna focus on the PS5 for games. Yeah, but expecting a lot. Like, not in the way that I think we're gonna get a lot, but I think that we could demand a lot now. And I'm not talking about anything with F1 World or it's really like honestly, that was a typical EA thing to do. I don't even get what this is about, but this whole menu stuff. But I just hope that next game is gonna be a bit better. Also, if you wanna play against the AI, for example,
Yeah,
would be nice.
yeah, definitely. I don't suppose if you've got a PC, Stefan, because you could still, because we have moved to obviously multi-platform. If you've got a PC, you could still be involved with MRC that way if you buy the new
But
game.
I don't have. So.
Okay. Yeah. It's a shame, but
Well,
I
but
guess
let's wait a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
once I guess when I see when I'm of course I'm gonna be within the community, and when I watch streams and when I see that the gameplay looks nice and so on, and who knows? And I think it's gonna be like, don't you want to,
Yeah. Yeah, it kind
And
of
I don't
lures you
even know.
back
I
in.
think PS5 is nowadays much more affordable than it used to be like 2 years ago. I think, right? But I have no idea, but so it has become cheaper as well. So maybe it might motivate me.
Yeah. Well, and they released the PS5 Pro, which you would imagine would have made the original PS5 a bit more affordable. So
Ah,
yeah. Mark says 25 feels really nice so far in beta. Hopefully some new features, and with it being newer consoles, could be less glitchy. Yeah, that's certainly what we are hoping for, Mr. Hodgson. So fingers crossed for that, as Bobo has put himself on pole for the time being at 27.9. We've been chatting away about the F1 game and PS5 and everything, and there's only 4 minutes left to go in the session now, so not too much change up at the front, except that Chris has actually put himself up to third with a low 28, and he's about to start another flying lap on a set of softs, and that'll actually be probably his final lap of qualifying with the amount of time that is left. And Armar has dropped back to 7th for the time being, and of course those are the two key men to watch in the championship battle, as we've got a Haas facing the wrong way. I think that was Nellis or Nels, currently in P13. Oh, Chris getting really onto the curb, and I think he actually went a bit too far, and that's invalidated his lap. Hopefully he's got enough fuel to have another go, because he would like to be on pole, if at all possible, ahead of Bobo and Xavier, who are really going to be formidable opponents for him tonight.
it's all baby Hornets jumping in P8.
Looks like he's invalidated at probably at turn 1. It's about the only place he could have done right at the start of the lap. Martin is coming up to, well, he's in the third sector and he's improving on his previous best, so he might be able to solidify his place in the top 10. Nels retires. Not sure if that was coming into the pit lane. I think it must have been, considering where he is on the track. And single track does improve, but he doesn't move up the grid. He's just on a slightly quicker time. Bobo's retired. That was in the pits, so he must feel like he has done enough. Chris is going once again, and he's a 10th up through the first sector. And coming up to the second sector line shortly, so we'll see what kind of a lap he is on for. He's improved a little bit more, almost 2/10, with the final sector remaining, which is pretty much just the one braking zone down to the final hairpin. So Chris might be able to leapfrog Xavier. Not sure he's got enough of an improvement in him at the moment to challenge Bobo, but he is coming up to the line, and he does go ahead of Xavier into second, nearly getting into the 27s, but missing out by about 100th. And I don't think Xavier is on a quick time here, unless he's saving himself for one final push lap. So we've got pretty much everyone who hasn't retired on track and setting a fast lap time. Anthony is just about to start his lap as well. Let's see what Saviour can do. So he goes through sector 1 and improves by 1/10.5 through there. And that actually, if he can just maintain that for the rest of the lap, I think he would take pole away from Bobo. So let's see. Red car is the first man to receive the checkered flag. Oh, Armar Red takes pole.
Whoa, that
Did
came
not,
out of nowhere.
yeah, almost 0.6 of a second of
Oh,
improvement from
Xavier's
Armar.
coming. Prix is pitting. He's not improving, but Xavier looks like he can. Let's see, what can he do?
Oh, he takes it.
Oh yeah, another 1.5 tenths. 27.7 are really strong.
Yeah, that's a brilliant lap from Saviour. But impressive stuff from Armar Red to put himself on the front row. Doris couldn't improve. Laupi's lap is invalidated. Anthony, what can he do? Currently in P8. Oh, and he slots himself into second between Saviour and Armar Red. Chris Bailey only down in 5th place. Not ideal for him in the championship battle. But I think that is it. I think everyone has crossed the line. So we're just waiting on Laupi to box and get wheeled back into the garage, and then we should be done for quali, and we'll be able to run you through the full grid order. Doesn't look like there have been any grid penalties or anything like that. So the order that we have should be the order for the race, which will be coming up shortly. So, yep, here we go. Saviour on pole by almost 1/10 of a second from Ant. And then Armar Red, a very impressive P3. We're just ahead of Bobo in P4, who retired early, thinking maybe he'd done enough to take pole, but wasn't the case. Chris down in 5th, Doris in 6th, then Laupi, Lou in 8th, Baby Hornet in 9th, Single Track 10th, and it's Red Car in 11th, Sam 12th, Nels in 13th, and Dan rounding off the grid in P14. So we will have now a 5-minute interval between quali and the race before we kick things off for the 25 lap race. So a few minutes for the drivers to maybe have a comfort break and decide on their strategy. Stefan, do you have any idea about what the optimum strategy might be around here?
I think the tire wear is quite low, if I'm not mistaken. So I think we're gonna see soft-medium strategy. We only have 25 laps anyway, which is rather on the uh, low part of the scale. So I think it's gonna be a one stop. But the walls are very close. Very often you're gonna have a safety car. So strategy really depends on that as well.
Yeah, definitely. That is very much the case. Do you think that having the threat of the wall so close affects how drivers might approach the race? Do you think they'll kind of have a bit more of a moderate driving style just to avoid getting wing damage?
I mean, would be wise in my opinion. I'm not sure if everyone's gonna do it, but uh, definitely you know it's very easy to just tap the wall, and maybe sometimes it's better to waste a tenth or two and keep the car safe on track. And it's also not impossible to get a time penalty here, so you're gonna have to take this into account too.
Yeah, that is true. We saw that from Anthony in qualifying, that you can
Yeah.
there are some chicanes that you can pretty much straight line, so there's definitely warnings that can be handed out there, and ultimately, yeah, the time penalties could be racked up, but yeah, should be interesting when we do get going. I'll just check where we're at in terms of what time we expect to go. It's going to be in
Um,
approximately 2 minutes' time.
okay, I'm just gonna be back in a minute then.
Yeah, no worries. So, yep, 9:30 start time, um, when we'll kick off the formation lap.
Okay, I'm gonna be back in a second.
Yeah. So once we get to that formation lap, we'll have a look at the tyre choices that everyone's gone for. See if people have taken on the recommendation from Stefan, soft or a medium, due to low tyre wear around here and a bit of a shorter race time as well, with it only being 25 laps and pretty quick lap times overall for a race that is that short. If you compare it to somewhere like Spa, which is 22 laps, but the lap times there are well into the 1 minute 40s. So quite a bit shorter lap times around here. And that was in the chat. 29 was possible, but I sent it into the wall. So that's unfortunate, mate, but got plenty of time in the race to recover from that. And yeah, we'll see. Like we said, there could be quite a few safety cars to come in this race. So if you can keep your nose out of trouble, you might be able to make some pretty good gains in the race. And the formation lap is now underway, and almost a full suite of medium tyre starters, except for Dan right at the back, who's going to play the long game, going for the hard tyres and sacrificing a bit of pace at the start of the race, but to give himself some more longevity on that tyre, and maybe go for a stint on the softs at the end. But of course, the risk there is an early safety car, and then you're in a bit of a tricky situation to decide whether or not you want to pit that early and go on to something else, or if you are going to stick it out on the hard tyre, which of course will be very difficult to warm up after a safety car period. It's pretty difficult to heat up at the best of times during racing conditions, so you can imagine just how cold they can get behind a safety car pootling around a Formula One track at about 100 miles an hour, which of course is absolute child's play for these cars. And there you go, there's the possible race strategies provided by AWS, so nice timing.
Oh, that's the almost the whole grid on medium. Interesting.
Yeah, so they, I guess, are aiming for the medium to soft, but of course, as you indicated earlier, Stefan, safety cars could well play a part and mix things up. So just waiting for Dan to form up in P14, and then we should be ready to go for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in Xtreme tier. And let's go on board with Armar Red in P3 as the lights go out and we're away for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and it looks like a fairly even getaway up at the front. Saviour broke quite a bit later there than Ant to just make sure that he kept his first place. So we've got Bobo trying to go alongside Armar into turn 3, but he backed out of it. Lorpy's got past Doris. Sam has had a bad start. Doris and Lorpy there were trading positions. Chris has not been able to make up any ground off the start, and he has got a lot of work to do here to rack up the points in the championship. He's got 3 tier 1 drivers ahead of him, and of course Armar Red, who is looking pretty comfortable to take maximum points from the tier 2 category. And that's actually Doris putting a lot of pressure on Chris on this opening lap. Oh, and Sam is out of the race, and we got a virtual safety car. Don't suppose you saw what happened there, Stefan?
No, I didn't really see it. I just saw before that Sam dropped to the back of the grid a little bit, but he had no damage as far as I could see on his car. So I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe he's gonna tell us.
Yeah, looked like he might have had a separate incident in the middle sector, which caused him to retire, but only a virtual safety car. So, well, we are back green. Oh, and Anthony's got 3 seconds, and that's very early to be getting that.
Oh, that's unfortunate. He must have both broken himself with his corner or something like that. But he was just completely.
Yeah, maybe if the race went green again and he was maybe in the middle of a corner or something, that could have caught him out a bit. But we're already seeing gaps appearing up at the front. Anthony and Armar both losing DRS from the cars in front, and Armar's got a whole host of drivers who will have DRS behind him, all the way down to Red Car in 10th place. So he might be coming under pressure soon, but this is working out very nicely indeed for Saviour. The driver behind him has got a 3-second penalty, and he's looking a lot quicker than him anyway. As we come to the end of lap 2 and the start of lap 3, Bobo is going to be chomping at the bit to try and get past the Alpine down into turn 1. Is he going to try the braking move? No, he decides against it. I think Armar might have used quite a bit of his battery there to defend, because Bobo wasn't closing in as much as you would have expected him to with DRS.
Very important for Saviour that he's broken the DRS. Very crucial on this track. Maybe Hornet comes out of the pits.
Yeah, I think Hornet was battling with possibly Red Car, so I don't know if there was any contact there that broke his wing. But 1.5 seconds from Saviour to Ant, and similarly 1.5 seconds from Ant to Armar. So slightly unusually we're seeing those gaps opening up at the front. We're quite used to seeing long DRS trains, and actually now Armar is picking up his pace, and Bobo is going to be under pressure from Chris as we get a cracking camera angle there. watching those drivers going down to the final corner. Lou trying to put a move on Lorpe for P7. Chris coming under pressure again from Doris. Single track now in the pits as well. I don't think they're taking your advice, Stefan, about taking it a bit easier to avoid the walls.
Yeah, so far not, but what do I know?
Just get a nice on board there of Chris following Bobo through sector 1 and those high speed left right left series of corners, which I mentioned earlier. You have to be so precise through there to extract the most lap time out of it. And Doris is really harrying Chris.
So close to the wall, incredibly close. He could actually attack, but it's not. You don't want to attack there. Oh, Baby
Safety
Hornet's
car,
out.
yeah. Baby Hornet's gone. And that's right at the end of that section I was talking about that we were riding on with Chris. And lap 4 out of 25, we have got our first safety car of the race. And is anybody going to react to that? Especially up at the front. Migrating host, so I think Baby Hornet has left. Saviour is in. And Anthony is in as well. I think maybe everyone's going to come in here. Certainly the top 10,
Yeah.
Everyone is coming in.
Apparently, yeah.
Dan's going to stay out, so he is going to lead a couple of laps behind the safety car, or has Saviour come out ahead of him? Oh, he did. Saviour couldn't even give it to Dan for one or two laps. He's held on to the lead.
Interesting. Wow, so yeah, basically everyone could go to the end by now.
Oh, goodness, that was very close between Saviour and Dan, braking for the safety car. Luckily, I think they ghosted, otherwise they would have made contact with each other. But yeah, I think I remember actually this track from the first season that we did on this game, and how minimal the tyre wear was on the hards. I think it must have been maybe like 1% degradation per lap. So
yeah, it was something like that. It was quite low.
So over the course of like a 20 lap stint, that's going to be barely registering on the hards.
Oh, well, actually, I don't know. Did you see this? Dan has a damaged front wing.
Oh no, I didn't see that. Oh yeah, he's missing an end plate.
But unless he's pitting now, it's going to be a huge advantage for Saviour, because he's going to be able to open a gap, probably because Dan's going to be slower.
Yeah, so Dan is carrying on. I have to be honest, in these situations, I would prefer it if he would just come in and get that fixed, rather than putting himself up among the quickest drivers in MRC with wing damage. It's very risky, and we saw an incident 1 or 2 races ago in Japan when a driver stayed out who was sort of nearer to the back of the grid when there was a safety car, and then won the restart. He ended up having a crash with Saviour, which pretty much ended his race. So Hopefully it doesn't happen like that in this case, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens when we get to the restart.
Yeah, hope something like that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We should hopefully get away at the end of this lap. We've got single track.
Yeah, probably.
Single track's the only one who hasn't quite caught up yet, but he is making up time now. Yeah, he's managed to get to the back of the queue. So that should be... You should see the message coming up in a moment, and there it is, to say that the safety car is coming in, and the lights will have turned off on the Aston Martin safety car. And Xavier now backing up the pack, warming up his tyres, or attempting to warm up his tyres with the weaving. And he's got a great opportunity, you'd have to say, to open up a gap once again with Dan behind with wing damage. Anthony is going to want to get by as soon as he possibly can on this restart, and Xavier has put the hammer down and got himself a bit of an advantage already. Let's see what happens off this final corner with Ant and Dan.
Oh, this, yeah, especially in the first sector, Dan's gonna be much slower, but Ant's actually passing him already.
Yeah, that was crucial for Ant, but even in that time, the gap to Xavier is 1.5 seconds. Armour's going to try and go right around the outside of Dan, and
nice
he has
move.
pulled it off.
Oh, that's the thing. Yeah, I think he got on the curb. Yeah, it's safe to rejoin there. So yeah, it's a big, huge curb there. If you get on it, you're just gonna lose all contact to the ground. Your wheels are not gonna be in the ground anymore. You're just going straight ahead. You can't turn anymore. So I think this is something that happened to everyone on this track.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think single track.
Oh, and yeah, single track is always got no front wing.
Oh, not having a great time of it. I think that's his second incident like that he's had, and that's completely ripped off his front wing, so he'll be coming in again. But we're pretty much back to the situation we were before the safety car. The top three have gapped each other, and then Chris is coming under a lot of pressure once again from Doris in the RB. So it doesn't really look like Chris has quite got himself up to speed yet. And it's pretty much Armour red all the way down to Lou in 9th place. Is the DRS train at the moment.
Yeah, it's forming up now. But again, Xavier and Ant were able to break the DRS just before the safety car.
Yeah, it's funny how that's worked out, and it's really not something we're used to seeing. Oh, was that a bit of contact with the wall? for Armar. Looks like he doesn't have any major damage, but is he going to be under attack down into turn 1 here from Bobo? Oh, not quite close enough to stick a nose in. Chris really having to defend hard from Doris once again. And Lorpy's right there as well in P7. So Chris just not able at the moment to focus on the guys in front. He's really having to defend hard from drivers behind as it stands. Oh, and a big twitch from Doris on that curb, the one you mentioned, Steph. He very nearly lost it there.
Oh, what was? No, I thought I saw a car spinning out, but no.
Yeah, that little moment for Doris has dropped him back from Chris. He's just on the edge of DRS, and actually now Chris is catching up to Bobo, and in the slipstream he's trying to go around the outside into the final corner, getting very close on the exit there. A little bit of contact. Is Chris going to have another go into turn 1? I think Bobo is probably burning quite a bit of his battery there to keep hold of the position. Lorpy's got past Doris, and so has Lou. So Doris not having a great couple of laps at the moment. He was right up with Chris before, and now he's dropped back to P8. Martin says he was carrying rear wing damage, which of course is pretty much terminal in this game because you can't get it fixed in the pit lane. So yeah, that's a shame, and probably the main reason why he decided to end his race early. So down to 11 runners on lap 10. Things pretty much holding steady up the front. Saviour's gap to Anti's 1.6 seconds. Lou has got himself ahead of Lorpy for P6. Saviour setting a fastest lap as well. So he's looking pretty comfortable out there at the moment, just managing the gap. I'd say managing his tyres, but like we said, the tyre wear on the hards is so low that you don't really need to do any managing. You can just push. Yellow flag around turns 1 and 2.
Now, I don't know if he broke himself. He went into the runoff, but it looks as if the car is fine. Yeah, probably just had to go to the emergency exit.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just follow this battle at the moment. Armour Red coming under all sorts of pressure. And in fact, Bobo going around the outside with DRS before the final turn. But does that now mean that Armour Red is going to get the DRS back on Bobo? Chris with a lot of overspeed.
Oh, there's some wheel banging. Oh, gets the move done. Yeah, he got the elbows out there a little bit, but still left space, and it was hard, but fair, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we want to see. Ultimately, these guys pushing each other to the limit without obviously having a crash or anything. But that seems to have released Bobo now into clear air, and he's a long way back from Anthony. 3 seconds now is that gap, but has Armar gone off? Armar's gone off, and he's broken his front
Yeah, he's
wing.
done. Oh. Oh no.
And that's potentially huge championship implications there, because Armour Red was comfortably winning in Tier 2. But now, with that incident, I think he's dropped behind at least 2 or 3 Tier 2 drivers in the race standings. And he's going to have to pit as well, so he might well drop to the back. And that makes things a bit more hopeful for Chris, who, meantime, is going to get the move done on Bobo down into turn 1. Or is Bobo going to hold on round the outside? These two I mentioned earlier, they've battled on tracks so many times in Xtreme already this season, and having another battle here. And it's Chris for the moment who comes out on top. And a nice ongoing battle as well between the RBs and Lorpy in the Aston. Lorpy just dropping backs from that battle though, and he's actually fallen out of DRS range, so the RBs might start working together now and just increase that gap if they can. And they need to work together to see if they can catch up to Chris and Bobo, because they're going to be doing something similar. Chris is going to defend from Bobo, but Bobo does get past to take third place once again, so I think that's going to be a battle that carries on for the remainder of this race. Mark says Armar has a big championship gap, so he won't lose position. That's true, but he'll lose points now to Chris with only the one race to go in the championship, so not ideal to lose points at this stage of the season. We're off to Zandvoort for the finale next week.
Oh, the twitchy moment there from Chris outside of this fast left right hander.
Had another excellent helicopter view there of the Jeddah circuit. And Chris is going to go through once again, and the RBs swapping round once more. And I actually think they are doing a pretty good job of working together. That gap to Bobo and Chris does look like it's coming down. Looks like the RBs really have got some good pace about them tonight.
Oh, Bowling a really good exit out of the first sector. It's just not a spot to overtake.
yeah, I'll just be trying to set up now for. Do you think he could try and move where Oscar overtook Lewis? He's got that DRS open, but I don't think he's close enough to emulate the Aussie, but possibly down into the hairpin.
Well, the two RBs switching positions. Well, it looks as if Dory could fight back now on the start-finish straight. Meanwhile, was not attacking. Dory has retaken the position. Well,
What's happened,
happened
to
to
Saviour?
Saviour?
Saviour's. Oh, is he disconnected? I think Saviour's disconnected.
Yeah, he's ghosted.
Oh, no way.
I was about to say the gap is shrinking, but did he leave the session? Was there? I didn't see anything. Was there a notification?
There might have been. I to be honest, the way I'm sitting, I can't see the bottom of my screen.
Me neither. So it's my wheel's in the way, so I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
he did. Maybe it's just his wheel is disconnected. I'm not sure. Oh, but no. Yeah, it's so slow. It's already 4 seconds to end now. It's painful.
Yeah, he's gonna have Chris and Bobo going past, and Bobo's trying to go past Chris as well. Chris defending into the hairpin. But Anthony, despite having his 3-second penalty, he's got a 4.5-second lead. So he's, as it stands, still on course to win this race. Bobo goes past Chris once again for what is now second place. And yeah, the two RBs are going to catch up to Saviour as well very soon, but that's such a shame for Saviour. I feel like this has been a bit of a theme for him in Xtreme this year. He's had some really bad luck at times when he's been in either winning positions or really strong positions, and it's possibly taken him out of a potential championship fight. So yeah, that's a real shame for him. Mark is reminding me that it's actually a 2-week break before the season finale because of the bank holiday on Monday in the UK, so we won't be racing next week. It'll be the week after for the final round in Zandvoort.
Oh, good to know. Didn't know that. You guys are having holidays once again.
Yeah, it's a bit crazy how it works out. With Easter being kind of later in April and then 2 bank holidays in May, we end up with about 4 extra days off in about a month, which is, is very nice.
That time of the year when there are a lot of days off, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, and the weather is pretty nice in the UK right now as well, so potentially an opportunity to sit in a beer garden or do something else in the sun.
Sounds lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting warmer as well. At least here, it was very warm this week so far.
Lorpe gets a 3-second. That's his first penalty. Oh, Ant's actually got 6 seconds of penalties. I didn't even realise. So that means that Bobo and Chris, as it stands, would finish ahead of him with the time gaps as they are. So I didn't notice when Anthony got his second penalty. but it's
No,
a pretty costly one.
Either. Oh, definitely.
Chris now struggling a little bit to hang on to Bobo, although he is still within DRS, so he'll get dragged along on the straights. Lou and Doris have fallen back a bit in the RBs. Still working together though, and they've really opened up a big gap to Lorpy, who's actually had an incident and is back in the pits with wing damage.
Ah, not ideal.
Didn't see where that was, but yeah, you can see his pit crew replacing the front wing and putting some medium tyres on, which will very easily get him to the end. Armar is back up into the top 10, just overtaken Nels. Chris really on the edge now of falling out of DRS range. I don't know if he managed it. Let's see, I think his wing's open. Yeah, I think his rear wing was open there, and it may have just given him enough top speed to be in the detection zone once again down the pit straight. But it looks like in sector 1, which you mentioned earlier, Stefan, is very crucial on this track. Looks like Bobo there has got the advantage in terms of downforce and ultimate speed.
Yeah, I get this team intern battle at RB at the moment, and of course Bobo and Chris is still going for it. Although I feel like Chris is has calmed down his attacks a little bit. He's just sticking with him for now. I mean, we're about to see the last 5 laps, so now you're gotta play it a little bit tactically as well, because as we have seen, just being ahead is not enough if you cannot get the guy out of the DRS. You're gonna get in trouble in the long term.
Yeah, and Chris has gone from looking like he lost touch with Bobo to being right back on his tail again. As we see once again,
And remember,
the
this
RBs.
is for the win because of Ant's penalty. As long as Ant cannot open the gap to 6 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. And for Chris, with Armar having his problems earlier, this is a great opportunity for him to maximise his points total in the championship and give himself a great opportunity to finally clinch his first MRC title after years of trying. And suddenly he's got a fantastic opportunity. Lorpy's just gone past Saviour, who still is disconnected from the session. He's not been able to reconnect to his car.
No.
Chris moves back up to P2 once again, or net P1, but obviously with the power of the DRS, that battle is not over by any means. 4 laps to go, including this one. And the main battles at the moment are between Chris and Bobo, and then the two RBs still separated by less than half a second.
Yeah, apart from that, not much happening on track at the moment. But even there, people are not rushing to attack. They're not going for every gap that could possibly be there. As you see Dan pitting, so we're actually gonna see the soft tires. Yeah, we do. But they're not fixing his wing. I don't know if this was what he intended.
Maybe he switched off the option on his MFD to repair the damage.
Yeah.
Or it wasn't enough damage to trigger it.
But the whole end plate is missing. But sometimes it can indeed happen that they are not fixing it. I don't know why. It's
bit of a glitch perhaps.
Oh, Alex said he spammed to us in the YouTube chat. He needs a new invite. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Alex. We didn't see that. I actually checked on Discord if he wrote something. So yeah, but I couldn't see the YouTube chat.
Yeah, I think I was the same as you. I was looking at Discord, and the chat wasn't actually updating for me, and now I can see a whole host of messages.
Oh, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, but I don't know if he still wants an invite. It's to that. I mean, I can send, but
yeah, I mean, it's probably a bit too late now, unfortunately.
Probably is. Yeah. Really sorry for that, but yeah, we really didn't knew about that.
Anthony is actually now dropping back. That gap was about 4.5 seconds, and it's 2.9 all of a sudden. I don't know if this might be him potentially, or if he might have made a mistake, but he could also be dropping back to help Chris by maybe trying to give him DRS in order to defend from Bobo so he can keep the win, because they are good friends, Anthony and Chris, and they often are in party chats together for these races.
Yellow flag. Armak is around.
So did Armar have a spin?
Yeah, he spun.
Oh wow! So another mistake. Bit surprising from Armar. We're so used to seeing him keep it really consistent.
Usually he does. Dory has opened the gap to his teammate as well. His teammate got wing damage. Yeah, that explains why. So he won't be able to attack anymore. So. And Ant's losing time as well to Bobo and Chris. So it's for the lead actually, and Bobo is very close now.
Yeah, this might.
Attacking now. No.
Well, he's not actually using any of his overtakes, so he must be trying to wait for maybe the final hairpin or the move that you mentioned earlier coming out of the final corner. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that Anthony has slowed down here to help his mate Chris by giving him DRS.
Maybe it's intentional, yeah.
Yeah. having said that, it's not under a second at the moment, and the detection line is a couple of corners away.
I mean, you don't want to let them get too close, though. Yeah, but
Yeah, I don't think
that's really
Chris
close.
has got it, and Bobo is right there.
I think now Chris has got it.
I think he was just about close enough.
Oh, was so close.
Let's see.
No,
Chris does not have it. Chris doesn't have it. Bobo has, and he's going around the outside, and he is actually going to get DRS now from Ant coming up to the line. So Chris is going to lose the win right at the last here, and Bobo, with the penalty for Anthony, takes the victory and sets the fastest lap as well on that run down to the finish line.
What a finish.
And then we've got Doris in P4. It's an RB 4th and 5th with Lou in 5th. And then it's going to be Redcar and Lorpy battling as well all of a sudden over 6th, and looks like Redcar's going to get it. Or is Lorpy going to be able to come back? He is going to be able to come back, although he had penalties, so it doesn't matter. Redcar actually takes P6 despite the exciting finish there.
Wow.
And then it's going to be Armar down in 8th with Dan and Saviour rounding out the top 10. And there we have it. Driver of the day, Steph, who would you give it to?
I think it could be Bobo for me, actually, because he just played it really well in the end. And actually, I'm not sure what Ant was trying to do, but it helped Bobo in the end because he had DRS in the final few meters, and there was no chance for Chris to come back from that. So, but I think Bobo, just positioned himself very well.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I don't quite understand what was going on with Ant at the end there, but in the end, it didn't really benefit anyone. But anyway, let's just run through the results quickly. So yeah, Bobo takes the win and the fastest lap from Chris. Anthony down in 3rd in the end with his penalties. Doris P4, Lou in 5th, Redcar in 6th, Lorpy 7th, Armar down in P8, Dan in 9th, and then Saviour, well, the last of the finishers, but also not really a finisher because he was disconnected for about half the race. Nels DNF'd, but he was a registered finisher, being a couple of laps down. And then DNFs for Single Track, Baby Hornet, and Sam in 14th place. So that's it. That's it for another week of MRC. As Mark reminded me in the chat earlier, we do have a week off now before the season finale of season 16 at Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix. That'll be kicking off on Friday the 9th of May with the X tier on the Friday night. And then, of course, on Monday night, it'll be the Tier 1 and Tier 2 boys, followed by Tier 3 and Extreme tier on the Wednesday. But until then, Stefan, thank you very much for joining me. It was a pleasure to have you alongside me as always.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun with you tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everyone for watching. Please leave a like on the stream if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the MRC channel if you haven't already for more F1 racing. But yeah, until a couple of weeks' time, that's it for now, and take it easy. Good night.